Oh boy, here we go, fellas. Things are heating up now. I thought maybe I was done with the Palworld news for a while, that things would simmer down until a later date. But no, instead, we are again with another massive update, and a glorious one too, because if you want the integrity of video games to continue to be more free and not held down by corporate nonsense, this is great then. Obviously, you all know Nintendo is suing Pocket Pair over Palworld. They got 3 patents that they're suing for. One failed already, which was the monster capturing ball patent. Basically, Nintendo thought that they owned the right to capturing monsters in balls. And then the Japanese court, in their own home turf, roundhouse kicked Nintendo in the throat, which definitely had to hurt. That now leaves 2 patents, one being far more nebulous, which is riding on monsters and transferring your player character from land to ground mounts. If you ask me, this one will likely also not hold any water either. If the Pokemon Ball patent got cooked the way it did, what hope does that one have? Especially considering all Pocket Pair really needs to do to prove that other games have used mounts before, and well, we know there's many games that do that already. So this then leaves the most damaging patent because it doesn't only attack or damage Pocket Pair and Palworld, but really all video games. That third patent is that Nintendo apparently claims they own the rights to summoning help in video games, which is, yeah, absurd. Because if Nintendo were to wield this particular patent, it would be disastrous for the games industry because the idea of summoning help is so far reaching and can apply to so many different things, it would be, no joke, a disaster, dude. Anyways, this video is actually about that patent, the summoning one, because guess what? Nintendo, they got cooked again. So here we go, fellas. This is from IGN. US Patent Office boss orders re-examination of Nintendo's controversial summon character and let it fight Pokemon patent, which IP expert claims further undermines credibility of its case against Palworld. I just know that the guys over there at Nintendo right now, they are punching holes in things, dude. I love to see it. This is glorious, beautiful even. In case you don't know, this is going to be a pretty positive video for sure. Well, if you're a big-time Nintendo fan who wants them to rule everything with an iron fist, then this is likely the worst news possible. But for anyone who wants freedom and fair play in video games, which I think is pretty much all of you, yeah, this is amazing, guys. So like IGN reported, the director of the United States Patent and Trademarks Office has crushed Nintendo's recent claims. The patent in question is called Patent 397. As IGN states here for you all to see, this patent would have affected games like Digimon, Persona, and even stuff like Elden Ring and Dark Souls. Because you can technically summon people to help you fight bosses, or in Elden Ring's case, even have spirits summon Ashens. This is all technically suable by Nintendo because of this patent. Then Florian Mueller of GamesFray has been a big voice in this battle, so credit to him because this is downright ridiculous. So this patent would, and I mean this with no hyperbole, destroy video games entirely. Like, I totally mean that. This would even affect, say, Arc Raiders recently too, because you play with your friends and technically you can summon them via invites into your games. That would also be a no-go. The far-reaching implications of this patent are also downright awful and ridiculous, which is why, in my opinion, out of any of the patents that Nintendo is hitting Palworld with here, this is the one that needs to be destroyed completely. Because it cannot be allowed to exist. Genuinely, it cannot for the healthy future of video games, and I truly mean that. And before someone says, oh, I'm just blowing it out of proportion, no, I'm not. Here, just look at the exact mechanics that Nintendo technically owns under this patent. Here it is for you all to see. The patent explicitly states that any action taken with a console, PC, or other computing device that engages in the summoning of help in any way is technically liable under this patent, which, let's be real, that counts for literally everything, because all games are played on consoles, PCs, or things like phones or tablets. So Nintendo somehow managed to convince someone to pass this patent in the first place, which either tells me that the patent people over there in Japan are either pro-Nintendo or maybe like the new guy who just started on the job and happened to work that day and got swindled by Nintendo somehow. Because if Nintendo wanted it to, they could just basically own the concept of co-op gaming, multiplayer, all of it because of this. Like, you're all being summoned to play in, say, Call of Duty even. Well, Nintendo then owns that patent technically now. So you see what I mean? It's just completely absurd. It would be like someone owning the patent to shooting a gun or jumping in a video game, right? It's just wrong. And if you want more content that is also not tied down by that corporate nonsense, consider liking the video, subscribing, or becoming a channel member for $3 a month. Thank you very much. and Nintendo is doing this on purpose to hurt Palworld, because they already forced Pocket Pair during this lawsuit to remove the Palsphere system, which was basically their version of Pokeballs due to that same patent infringement. Palworld also had to remove the ability to use pals to fly around on, for example, too, so this is why in Palworld now you gotta use gliders, because Nintendo technically owns that patent. So you can see how quickly things can go from good to terrible here. This now brings us to the hero of the hour, whose name is John A. Squires. That's this dude on screen right here. So this John guy is a nominee of Donald Trump, who was elected and made the director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office just this past September 2025. So he is fresh on the job, and despite John Squires being newly elected and leading the patent office, he has immediately surveyed Nintendo's claims against Pocket Pair and personally made it his mission to destroy Nintendo's patent claims. Because Squires clearly knows that if Nintendo is allowed to implement this patent of summoning help in a broader sense, that everything would be cooked. So this is where things get good. Here's what Squires said about patent 397, and now he has personally made it his mission to destroy it. Squires personally gave his description of what this patent details, and how he puts it makes it sound even worse, as he says here. The 397 patent issued with claims drawn to controlling the movement of a player character in a field of a virtual space, causing a sub-character to appear in the field, controlling a battle in a manual mode when an enemy character is present in the location the sub-character has appeared, and when an enemy character is not present in the location the sub-character has appeared, automatically moving the sub-character and controlling a battle in an automatic mode when an enemy character is placed at a designated location. That's a word salad, but it sounds ridiculous, right? Well, John Squires was further detailed by GamesFray, where that Florian Mueller guy who's been covering this for a while, like I said before, works at. But here's what GamesFray wrote, which reads, USPTO Director John A. Squires has personally ordered, at his own initiative, his organization to take another look at Nintendo's US Patent 397. The director determined that X part re-examination was in order because of two older published US patent applications, one of which was filed by Konami in 2002 and the other by Nintendo themselves in 2019. Either one of those prior art references teaches a player being able to perform a battle in a manual mode and in a simpler automatic mode. Florian then further details as seen here that according to Squires and the US Patent Office, that Nintendo officially has roughly 2 months to respond to what Squires' direct opposition here is, that their patent has no grounds for lawsuit in American court. And this is a big deal, mind you, because I know some will say, but Nintendo is Japanese and Pocket Pair is Japanese too. That is true. However, the vast majority of Palworld sales came from overseas, obviously outside of Japan. And since Nintendo's patent lawsuits are failing where they should technically have more power, this means that they're likely even more cooked now. And then if they did try to push this lawsuit in, say, America, Canada, anywhere else pretty much, which is a good thing, mind you, because again, it means the more anyone outside of Japan pretty much stands up to this, the worse that it's going to get for Nintendo. But it's also going to get really, really good for everyone else, because look, you can like Nintendo all you want, okay? I don't hate them. I'm not going to tell you to boycott them, nothing like that. But can we agree that what they're doing here, it's gone too far? That's just the truth, man. But the fact that Florian specifically brought up Konami, that's the Metal Gear Solid Castlevania Ape Escape people, that they had patents that could be used as prior art to directly oppose what Nintendo claims they own here, is exactly what Palworld needs to dismiss this. Too long, I know, didn't read version if you will. If you try to issue a patent for something, you legally cannot own that patent if what you're trying to turn into a patent already existed prior to you submitting it. Like, I couldn't claim that I own the right to saving your game in a video game, because obviously the concept has existed in games decades prior to me trying to file it. It's a long way of saying that Nintendo pretty much got judo slapped in the midsection and then swept with a fast low kick to the ankles here. It's a solid move, all things considered. But it still makes me happy, guys, because Nintendo cannot be allowed to bully people like this. It's just wrong, man. But Florian then drops this, which is just, oh, it's delicious, but it reads, this development further undermines the credibility of Nintendo's patent assertions against Palworld. This is now the second case in as many weeks where a patent or patent application related to the patents Nintendo is asserting against Palworld is viewed skeptically by one of the world's top 4 patent offices. The other members of that club are the European people, China, and yada yada yada. And we are not aware of any major events relating to Nintendo patents in those jurisdictions. predictions. So what this all means is that officially that one of the biggest patent offices is rising like the freaking Avengers in Endgame against Nintendo's Thanos, who wants their Infinity Stones, which are their patents, lodged into their Nintendo Switch 2 themed gauntlet, pretty much is what's happening. And Nintendo is now desperately trying to Zerg rush as many Goombas and Shy Guys as they can to swarm this American patent office, who is Captain America, of course, in this analogy, so that they can erase Palworld. But thankfully, due to the public outrage, that's you and me, by the way, and voicing our opinions online, it's now reached the ears of the people who can actually run these laws. And that means another thing, fellas, that you have to be aware of, which is that, like I always say, your voice, no matter who you are, matters in these instances. Doesn't matter if you don't have a YouTube channel or you Twitch stream or something, that each and every one of you is important when it comes to things like this and more. Like, look at what you all did, you freaking mad lads. You got the American government to just drag and uppercut Nintendo in the jaw by being vocal like this. And I mean, good, you guys did this. So all your tweets and your interactions, everything just caused this to happen. You see what happens when you all band together against a common threat like this? Even Nintendo, with their Super Mario and their Pikachu power, can't stand against you. And I guarantee you that right now, there's some lawyer at Nintendo that is likely being thrown through a table adorned with Princess Peach engravings by Shigeru Miyamoto himself because they failed to enact their patent worldwide. But even Games Free agrees, and this is what they said here. The only plausible explanation is that the US Patent Office's leadership became aware of all the negativity publicity surrounding the grant of the 390 patent and wanted to correct this mistake. I screwed that up, but it doesn't matter. But we did it, guys. You just made Nintendo lose big time in their lawsuit there, so sure, they were gonna win probably before, but now, definitely not. But Games Free also states as seen here that John Squires has made it effectively way more difficult in general for like anyone trying to swindle the patent system in America since taking power, which is, yeah, a good thing to have, by the way, because these things can be really damaging, obviously. So it's good that they got strong leadership actually leading the charge here. If Squires was never put in his position right now, who knows what Nintendo could have gotten away with, but Games Free puts it well here, which reads, "This order by Director Squires is good news for the US patent system and for that small company named Pocket Pair that is forced to defend against Nintendo's patent assertions. By extension, it validates Games Free's concerns over the grant of this patent and the criticism voiced by others who subsequently voiced similar opinions." He means all of you, by the way. Games Free then states, as seen here, that this patent failure is the first step in a multi-section failing of patents that could in theory cause them all to just fall like a house of cards. John Squires also states that his intention is for the US Patent Office to only allow patents that are born strong, as he puts it, to then be allowed to proceed. The idea is that if a patent has a 70% validity to its claim, it's then considered a strong patent, but Nintendo's claims are the other 30%, which is, bad news for Nintendo when it comes to crushing, Palworld of all things. And in case somehow you're not convinced that any of this is real yet, here's objective proof with tangible evidence detailing how the American Patent Office has absolutely 100% pushed this rejection of Nintendo's patents within North America. Here's more proof to confirm the validity of these claims as well, so you have absolute fact and proof that the United States is absolutely vehemently against Nintendo's patents, which would infringe on all video games rights, okay? Not just Palworld. Here's also the patent that John Squires referred to, which was originally patented by Konami in 2002, as you're seeing on screen here. By the way, this patent from Konami does not mean they somehow own the right to summoning characters either. If I had to assume, this is just Konami back in the day, ensuring that no one could sue them for using turn-based mechanics or such in their games. Obviously, Konami created things like the Suikoden series, or Suikoden, however you want to say it, which this would obviously fall under, so that makes sense. But no, it does not mean that Konami somehow owns the rights either. This one on screen also is Nintendo's patent that they actually issued back in 2019, which inadvertently ruins their current patent that they claim they own the right to summoning characters in the first place. And you may be wondering, how does an old patent of Nintendo's invalidate the new summoning one? From what I understand, it's because the new patent claims it's a new thing, if you will, that Nintendo was trying to make law, but that they omitted the existence, likely knowingly, of that original patent from 2019 on purpose in order to swindle around it and then create this new law that was specifically chosen in order to attack and ruin Palworld specifically. Now, how Nintendo was somehow able to make the summon patent with this other one present again, who knows? But it still happened. But Konami's 2002 patent states that the sub-characters, which let's say are Pokemon or pals for reference, are actually indeed completely separate entities from the main or player character, if you will. Either way, this screws over Nintendo because it proves they did not in fact make that patent or that idea in the first place. Because prior art existing tends to ruin a lot of these things, thankfully. Now, I also want to bring attention to an article I saw being shared on social media recently from automaton.com, which is titled, "Nintendo may not be able to recoup legal expenses of Palworld lawsuit even if it wins, Japanese attorney suggests." I should note, however, this article is from June 2025, almost 6 months old as of this video being made anyways. However, that does not mean that the gotcha here is really any less important, because this article refers to a Japanese lawyer that they interviewed here named Kiyoshi Kurihara, who spoke to Games Phrase 6 months ago about how Nintendo's proceedings were going against Palworld. I saw people online, I won't say names, it's fine, but I saw the narrative forming that Nintendo would be losing millions of dollars even if they won against Pocket Pair. But the actual reason why Kurihara said that Nintendo wouldn't win any money back in a meaningful way is cause, as seen here, Nintendo's actual lawsuit only wishes for about $67,000 American for the entire lawsuit. Of course, their lawyers, as they state in the same paragraph there, are from a very expensive group, TMI Associates to be exact. While Pocket Pair is being represented by Nishimura and Asahi, but the money that Nintendo won't recoup even if they do win wasn't really the point in the first place. Because the money here is really pointless in this regard. It all firmly just comes down to the fact that if Nintendo wins their lawsuit, their endgame goal was always just to destroy and erase Palworld completely. The money doesn't matter. I reported in a previous video on Nintendo that they roughly were making somewhere near $30 million a day in revenue back in 2023. In terms of today, there's really no numbers to accurately reference there, but even then, this would mean that like a single day of revenue from Nintendo, years ago by the way, more than likely pays for all of these legal proceedings either way. So this again is not about money. It's about the integrity of video games. And Nintendo, yeah, they're being supervillains here. But it is hilarious how a Trump-appointed director may just be what saves Palworld and video games by association in the end. I doubt you'll see many games journalists giving credit where it's due for, well, obvious reasons, but hey, I don't care who runs the patent office, as long as they keep fighting for the little guys. What I believe this entire lawsuit will hopefully result in is people realizing that these frivolous lawsuits and annoying patents do nothing but honestly stifle innovation and just ruin the creativity of an industry that is bursting with it. We don't need less games like Pokemon or anything else. We need games to instead challenge these status quos and become something more. Personally, I think Palworld existing is a net positive. It's a big game, people love it, and it's less than half the price of Legend ZA. How can that not be a net positive for the industry? The only way that you can look at that negatively is simple, because companies like Nintendo, they want their games to be sold for more and made for less. The made for less part I agree with, but I don't think selling them for more is also a good idea either. And if Palworld wins this, which is very likely now since Nintendo is kind of down 2-1 now in terms of patents currently, I hope this is a hard lesson for Nintendo and forces them finally to actually invest real money and development into true new Pokemon games that are just the bare minimum for, again, more money than everything else at the time. Hopefully this causes, like Games Phrase said, for the house of cards to fall down finally, and that Pocket Pair can finally also just be left alone to make their games, and everyone can just sigh and be fine again, and Nintendo just can't go around using their fat wallet to silence anyone they don't like. Video games should be allowed to use mechanics or even ideas from other games. Dark Souls is just The Legend of Zelda, but everyone is a crazy person now. Like, come on, the innovation needs to happen. That's how we get cooler games. But if you ask me, this is great news all around. Nintendo got cooked again, even worse than before might I say, and Palworld is coming out on top as well. And with that 1.0 launch for Palworld next year, that can't come fast enough. But what do you think? Will this be enough? Or is Nintendo still strong enough to win this fight? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Take care of yourselves. And it's just glorious because I just know that right now someone at Nintendo is punching holes in the drywall, wishing that this would have gone any other way. But thank God that it didn't.